The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus told his disciples this parable. The kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 were wise. The foolish ones, when taking their lamps, brought no oil with them, but the wise brought flasks of oil with their lamps. Since the bridegroom was long delayed, they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight there was a cry, "Behold, the bridegroom, come out to meet him." Then all those virgins got up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish ones said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out." But the wise ones replied, "No, for there may not be enough for us and you. Go instead to the merchants and buy some for yourselves." While they went off to buy it, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went into the wedding feast with him. Then the door was locked. Afterwards, the other virgins came and said, "Lord, Lord, open the door for us." But he said in reply, "Amen, I say to you, I do not know you. Therefore, stay awake, for you know neither the day nor the hour." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Veterans Day is one of 3 days in which we honor those who serve and have served in our nation's military. The others are Memorial Day, which honors those who died while in military service, and Armed Forces Day, which honors those who are currently serving. Memorial Day is also associated with the end of the Civil War, and many observances feature the reading of Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. That address served as a reminder that human equality is at the core of our nation's being. President Lincoln said that to truly honor our nation's military war dead means to live and advance the ideas for which they died, that gave rise to American freedom, especially the proposition that all are created equal. Veterans Day, however, honors all who have served in our armed forces. It is celebrated on the day of the armistice ending the First World War. President Woodrow Wilson said that the Allied victory in that war illustrates the strength of great nations acting together for high purposes, and reminds us that an enduring peace results when nations act justly and cooperatively. We honor our living and deceased veterans because they served so that our country could promote the fraternity, solidarity, and justice that is essential to human existence. Those who have served in the military know well the phrase, "Hurry up and wait." Military service involves a large amount of hurrying and waiting. The efficient movement of large numbers of troops requires that they assemble quickly and wait for orders, either to move forward to a military objective, or to board an aircraft, or just to go into the chow hall. You have to be prepared for delays. That's just a part of military life. But in the delay, you can't stray off or lose your watchfulness. You have to continue to be alert and ready to move when the orders come. Perhaps that is something all of us should take to heart in these remaining weeks of the liturgical year. In 2 weeks, we will observe the feast of Christ the King, and we will celebrate something that hasn't yet occurred, the second coming of Jesus. The scriptures in our New Testament constantly encourage us to be ready for the day Jesus promised to return. The earliest Christians believed that Jesus would return in their lifetime. They were told to hurry up and wait. But as the years went on and people began to die before the second coming, they grew disappointed and began to lose hope. Many drifted off in disbelief and left the early church. St. Paul and the writers of the Gospels had to deal with the reality of delay and waiting and losing hope. Today's parable is intended to give the members of the early church, as well as us today, some encouragement. Keep the faith. Keep waiting, because Jesus is coming back. And when he does, he will give us the orders to move forward. And what a glorious day that will be. Looking deeply into this parable can give us some encouragement in a world that makes losing hope easy. What makes the 5 wise virgins wise and the foolish ones foolish? All 10 of them became drowsy and fell asleep. Not something you want to do if you're pulling guard duty. The wise were wise because they were prepared for the delay. They knew that their role would involve considerable waiting, and so they brought enough fuel for their lamps to last through a long delay. The foolish brought lamps, but not extra fuel. Jesus is telling us that being a Christian disciple is going to involve a lot of hurry up and wait. Wise disciples are those who come prepared for the delay. The wise were wise because they held on to their faith deep into the night. Many of us have experienced at times what we could call the dark night of the soul. This might come in the form of cancer, Alzheimer's, loss of a spouse or a child, the predominance of opioid addiction in our region, and the renewed demand for assisted suicide indicate that many around us are going through their own dark night of the soul and need the friendship of one with a strong faith, willing to help bear their burdens. The wise ones were wise because they still served and hoped and prayed and waited for the victory to come, even though they could see no bridegroom coming. They still watch and anticipate the victorious one who would break open their darkness. We are being asked to join those wise ones who can still serve, still hope, and still pray, even when the whole world seems to be falling apart. When a great nation once known for advancing the human condition through innovation and amazing discoveries now becomes known for almost monthly armed massacres, it is a sick nation. The wise one is wise because he or she still serves and hopes and prays, even though the bridegroom seems to have forgotten us, even though we seem to have forgotten who we are. This past June, Pope Francis said, "Let us ask ourselves if we are parlor Christians who love to chat about how things are going in the church and the world, or apostles on the go who confess Jesus with their lives because they hold him in their hearts." The gospel today asks us to look deeply into our hearts. The wise represent disciples who hear the word of God and act on it. They see every moment as a potential opportunity to be light in the world. They even see grief-stricken moments as opportunities for God's grace. We are given a warning this Sunday. Wait for the trumpet blast. Listen for the voice of the archangel. Be ready. But we were also given what is ultimately a message full of joy. You are the light in a dark world. Fuel your lamps and hold your light high. Hold the flame of your faith high, especially for those who have lost all hope and grieve terribly. Hold your light high because you are enthusiastic about your faith. Hold that light high because it illuminates the way to the one who conquered death forever.